Florida head coach Billy Donovan, student athletes Will Yeget, Patrick Young, and Scotty Wilbekin. Coach Donovan will begin with an opening statement. Then we'll take questions first for the student athletes from Florida. Coach.
Well, congratulations to Connecticut. I thought they played extremely well today. Unfortunately for us, I didn't think it was one of our better games, and I think Connecticut certainly had a lot to do with that. I thought we got off to a very, very good start in the game, and I thought the reason we got off to a good start in the game was our defense was very, very good. And right after that point, we had 3 or 4 possessions right in a row where some of our pick and roll coverage broke down, which led to, I think, 3 straight threes, and the lead went from 12 to 3 pretty quickly. And then I think once they got their defense set, I thought we had a hard time handling their pressure up top, keeping the ball moving, getting down the lane, being aggressive, and we struggled there. And then I thought our guys battled and fought there in the second half. We went 1-3-1 zone and tried to change and mix up some defenses. I thought we got the ball inside a little bit more, but certainly, their backcourt players I thought really played well and made some plays. And then I thought Daniels from the power forward spot played really well tonight.
We're taking questions first for the student athletes from Florida. We have one in the front row on the left side. Please state your name and media outlet, Edgar.
Yeah, Edgar Thompson with the Orlando Sentinel for Scotty and Pat. All season, you guys seem to be able to kind of find the answer, the extra gear. What was kind of different, and what was kind of going through you guys' minds out there when you just couldn't kind of get it going?
Scotty, can you take that first, please?
Yeah, on offense, we couldn't really get anything going. They were being really aggressive, and we couldn't really get into our offense, and we weren't moving the ball as well. And a couple of us were having bad shooting nights. Pat and Casey played good as far as shooting the ball goes, but the shots that we did get, couldn't get them to fall.
Patrick.
I think I was just trying to get the guys just to stay in the moment and just keep pushing on from the past, because we've been a team that's come from behind a lot, especially late in the season. And I thought if we just picked it up a little bit more, just forgot about how we were shooting and just locked in and focused, we could have it come again, and we cut it down to 3. And I thought we were there. We were going to be able to change the game, take the lead back. But UConn was very good with their pressure on our guards, and we didn't convert points, and they scored a lot on us as well. So all the credit goes to them.
The next question will be on the left side of the room.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun. Question for Scotty. We saw you limping up and down the court a few times. Were there cramping issues, and if so, how severe were they?
Yeah, it was right when the second half started. I was getting a little cramp, but it wasn't too bad. But I got out of the game and got some ice, and then it wasn't really a problem from then on.
We're looking for the next question for student athletes from the University of Florida. If you have your question, please raise your hand. We have one on the left side in the second row.
Gene Fournette from the Florida Times Union for Patrick. Could you, I know this loss just happened, but can you put into words the emotions that you feel right now after such what had been a magical season, winning 30 straight games, and the expectations of going the distance?
Well, it's just, it's really tough. Can't really explain how I feel, because it just hasn't hit me that these guys are next to me, and the guys in the locker room, that we're not going to be together in the same way again, and not going to be. Who knows what we're going to be in a couple of months. Just this team was so special, something I'm never going to forget, part of my life, and we accomplished a lot just by loving each other and being really committed and loving playing with one another. So I'm just really going to cherish everything that we had this year, and it's going to be something I never forget.
Another question on the left side of the room.
Newy Scruggs, NBC Dallas, NBC Sports Radio's questions for you, Scotty. Can you explain at all just the assist to turnover ratio for you guys? Just 3 assists versus the 11 turnovers today?
That's crazy. That's not usually what we do, but they did it. All credit goes to them and their guards and the way they were denying and putting pressure on us. And we weren't taking care of the ball. When we would get by them, we wouldn't keep the ball tight, and they would reach from behind, and we're just being too loose with it.
Continuing with questions for student athletes from the University of Florida. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Any further questions for the student athletes? We'd like to thank Will and Patrick and Scotty for joining us in the interview room. We have one more on the left side. Okay.
Yeah, just a question for any of the players. Michael Frasier hit a three-pointer early, and then he only had 2 other shot attempts for the rest of the game. Was it a case of, UConn blanketing him, or why maybe wasn't he more involved kind of in the game plan and in the flow offensively?
Patrick first, then Will.
I think going into the game, everyone knew how good of a deadly shooter Michael Frasier is. I mean, the guy made 11 threes early in the season against South Carolina. I think all the credit goes to their coach for putting Shabazz on him and Boatwright, guys that are really quick and going to get him out of rhythm. We found him early and he was aggressive, but it was really tough for us to find him an open look the rest of the game. So, that's never what we want to happen for him. We want to get as many open threes as we can for him, but they did such a great job on him, and we weren't really running our offense the right way, or as good as we have been all year long. So it was tough to find him. Tough to find a lot of shots. I mean, we were only 1 for 10 from 3 the whole game. So yeah.
Will.
Just like Scotty said, they did a really good job, guarding us on defense. And offensive, we couldn't get ourselves going. He got him an open shot earlier, but we just couldn't find him for some reason. And our offense wasn't here tonight. And, we were able to fight Frasier. So they did a really good job guarding us and pushing us on defense on the other side.
We have another question on the left side.
Yes, Chris Harry, Gator Zone for Will and Scotty. How are you guys going to remember this season, and how do you think this team will be remembered by its fans?
Will first.
Obviously, the 4 seniors, we came together and, we've been through a lot, and just finishing up, doing all the things we've done this year, and I think it's really special. Going to the Final Four is something special as well. And I think we're going to continue to just, share our friendship, and I hope that, we're going to still stay close after this. We were a great team, I think. We accomplished a lot of things during the year. They played better than us tonight. I think Scotty is a great player, Pat as well, and so is Casey. And this game is not changing anything, regardless of how I feel or how, my relationship with them. And, great guys. Love them, love to be around them. And I just wish them the best. And, I know they're going to be successful in life.
Scotty.
I think that everybody will remember this season for the team that we were able to become. Because at the beginning of the year, it didn't look like we would be much of a team. And then throughout the year, we just really came together and did a lot of special things. Broke a number of records at the school and won some really tough games. And unfortunately, we didn't go out the way we would like to, but only one team is going to do that. So we just have to try and remember all the good things that we did before this point, even though it's hard right now. I'm sure that I'll look back on this year and be really proud of the guys that were standing next to me and just us as a team.
Any further questions for the student athletes from Florida? There's one on the right side of the room toward the center. Please remember to state your name and media outlet.
John Michaels, 790 The Zone in Atlanta. This question's for Patrick. In the second half, there was a time when you were really getting in the offensive flow, getting the ball. Do you feel you should have demanded the basketball a little bit more because it seemed like you had a mismatch inside?
Well, I think up front, even when I wasn't getting the ball in the first half as much or wasn't scoring as much, I was still able to put their bigs in foul trouble. Rima and the other starting big man they had 3 fouls in the first half, and I just felt as though in the second half, Coach challenged me just to be more dominant in the second half. Just when I was able to get the ball, just was more aggressive, try to make good reps, good shots to the basket. My teammates were just finding me, just trying to make the right play whenever I could, and it turned out that I was able to do that for the most part.
Final question for the student athletes from Florida in the front row on the left.
For Patrick, for all 3 of you, as seniors, obviously it's not the way you wanted to finish. Just talk about, what it meant to be a part of this team and what you'll leave behind.
Patrick.
I think for the first time in my life, I was a part of a group of guys that were really willing to bleed for one another, guys that were really willing to just do whatever it takes to go outside of themselves, to commit to the greater goal. You know, looking at the year going into it, we didn't know what was going to happen with the suspensions and the injuries and all that stuff. But we stuck together through it, had a lot of great memories. One thing I can take from this team is just when you can truly love a group of guys or people like this, you bring out the best out of them and you bring out the best out of yourself.
That's all the time we have for questions for the student athletes from Florida. We'd like to thank Will, Patrick, and Scotty for joining us. They're going to head back to the locker room. The Gators locker room is still open. And fellas, we'll ask if you exit to the right side by me, this side. Okay. Good. Okay. We're looking for the first question for the University of Florida head coach Billy Donovan. There's one all the way on the left side.
Billy, I'll ask you the same thing I asked the players in terms of, some of the shot selection and maybe why Frasier wasn't more involved in terms of, was it something UConn did or were guys not finding him?
I totally understand. I told Sky this after the game. I went through the same thing in the Final Four that he just went through. And when I was playing, so much of our team's offense was based on the ball in my hands and making plays. And I remember in my senior year playing against Sherman Douglas, I really struggled to do that. The difference in the game was Scotty Wilbekin couldn't live in the lane like he had all year long for us. And every time we needed a big shot or a big play, whether it been Arkansas or UCLA, he was in the lane. He had a really, really hard time getting in the lane and around Boatwright, and he had a hard time getting around Napier, which inevitably made our offense very, very difficult. He couldn't get off screens. We ran a lot of different screening action for Frasier. Just so happened the first play of the game, we got him a shot. But there was probably 10 or 15 other plays we ran for him that he just couldn't get off screens because their speed and quickness didn't allow him to. And I thought what generally happened for us was we were able to, in the first 6 or 8 minutes, get defensive stops and get out on the break. But if you look at their shooting percentage for the game, that really it really did not enable us to get out on the break. We could not get out on the break very much and attack like we wanted to. And then when we got caught in the half court, both of our point guards had 7 turnovers. That's a hard recipe, and we tried to pound the ball into Patrick because I think someone asked about a mismatch, and we got it to him in the first half. He was 1 for 5, and he missed free throws. In the second half, he performed a little bit better. But I thought the difference in the game was our backcourt guys could not get in the lane at the rate that Boatwright and Napier could, even though those guys didn't go off. I thought Scotty did an unbelievable job guarding Napier. I mean, he's taken over games offensively. He did as good of a job as I've seen on Napier guarding him. But Napier plays, the right way. He makes extra passes, and he does those things. And DeAndre Daniels was the recipient a lot of times of Napier finding him. But you look at our assist-to-turnover ratio, it's always really been pretty good. When you see 3 assists, that's a direct reflection of your guards. As much as I don't want. We would not be in a situation if it was not for Scotty Wilbekin. And you just never want to see a guy his senior year do all the things that he's done. You just wish he could have played and performed a little bit better for us. But if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be sitting up here right now.
Next question's on the left side of the center aisle.
Corey Collins from NCAA.com. Coach, what's your perspective of Kevin Ollie's coaching job tonight, both on the game plan he seemed to present as well as the poise he held when they were down early?
Yeah, I don't think there was anything different than he hasn't done all year long. I thought he did a great job against Michigan State, turned Michigan State over 16 times. I mean, we didn't turn the ball over as much our backcourt players did, but I don't think that they really did anything different. I mean, they probably made some adjustments on personnel, but that's what they've been doing. The biggest difference in UConn's team, in my opinion, from seeing them in December and then watching them on tape is they've turned into a great defensive team. And I think that was probably missing for a good portion of their season. And now they've really been able to defend at a high level. And I think it all starts with Boatwright. He does a great job, really pressuring the ball. And, like Scotty said, even when you go by him, they turned us, they flicked balls, they slapped balls out of our hands, they got on the break, they got us to take some tough shots. And I would say this, there's not many guards that we've played against that have kept Scotty Wilbekin out of the lane. These guys kept him out of the lane.
Next question's on the right side in the front row. Vin?
Vin Parisi, SNY. Coach, what will be the biggest memories that you have from this club when you look down the road?
Wow. You know, I always say it's never an easy exit out of this tournament because you're an invested team. You know, after every year is over with, I always take time and try to evaluate myself, our team. And the number one question I ask myself every year is, did our team play as close as possible to their potential? And maybe more so than any team that I've coached based on the talent level, we played way beyond our potential as a team. And I think that we've been a team where the whole has been better than the parts. You know, when you break us down individually, we're not the most talented group, but when you stick us together collectively, we're really good. But I mean, these guys ran off 30 straight games. One of our coaches was joking before the game, Chris Walker's never lost a college basketball game since he's been in Florida. This was his first one. You know, they went through the SEC unblemished. They went through the SEC tournament. They got to the Final Four, and certainly we would have loved to have played on Monday night. And I told him before the game, the team that plays the best is going to play on Monday night. And I thought UConn played better than we did. But you know, I think every coach sits up there. I'm so proud of my guys. I'm so proud of my guys. Me being proud of them is from a totally different perspective. Because for me personally, I saw how dysfunctional we were in September. Didn't even know what we would look like. I mean, we had Eli Carter with injury. Didn't look like he was going to play, and he had to redshirt him. Chris Walker had academic issues. DeMontre Harris, you know, was removed from our team. Then you've got Scotty Wilbekin suspension. You got Dorian Finney-Smith suspension, and you're sitting there starting with this supposedly supposed to be a team, and it's anything but a team. And I got a chance to experience a lot of personal victories along the way off the court. Their body of work on the court, people will evaluate or judge themselves. But for me personally, where they were as individuals and where they were as a team to where they came from in terms of becoming a team, I mean, it was one of the most special experiences I've had being around a group of guys away from the court, maybe since I've been in coaching.
The next question's on the right side of the center aisle.
Gary Shelton, Tampa Bay Times. Billy, you're fond, and you just said it again, but you're fond of saying there's no easy way to exit this tournament short of winning it. In those last few minutes, when you're on the sideline and you guys have played one of your least impressive games, what's going on in your head at that moment? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm talking to the NCAA person at the scorer's table and the referees asking if we can start over. No, I mean, it's, you know, when you're obviously coaching. You're coaching when it got down to a minute and a half and it was 12 and, you know, Kevin's team is a really good free throw shooting team. There's not a lot of fouling options out there. Nate Beer's great. Boatwright's great. Gaffai is really, really good. Daniels are a really good free throw shooting team. And, you know, I thought they did a really good job against Michigan State getting fouled. So, you know, as the clock's unwinding, you're kind of sitting there and you realize that this is getting ready to come to an end. And, you know, you try and do all you can, you know, to try to help your guys as best they can. And I was proud of the way they fought all the way to the end. But I don't know if my emotions just as soon as the game ends will be like they will be tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday when I have a chance to probably for some private time to reflect by myself.
Final questions on the left side.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun. Billy, Scotty's cramping issues. I mean, he cramped last week against Dayton. Was that something that flared up during the week, or did he try to monitor it, or was this something that was kind of, again, out of the blue?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably Kev talking to the trainer would be best. I don't know. I mean, I just deal with it when it happens. He didn't have any cramping issues in practice or anything else like that. So he's had a problem with that in different points in time in the season. And very, very rarely does he ask me to come out. But he has to come out within the first minute of the second half. So I just took him out and tried to give Casey a chance.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.